Okay, Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and we just got an anonymous tip in, and this is going to be hard to do. This is going to be long. There's 7 documents here. This did happen a while ago, but still this did never get out to the public, and people need to know, man. This is not cool at all. And the question is, did Charlotte County Sheriff Office sexually abuse girls in the Explorer program? And apparently one of the girls couldn't take it, and years later finally gave her testimony to FDLE, and they did a polygraph and she passed, and this is their investigation. So this is going to be a while. I'm going to try to read. I'm not a good reader, so here we go. Following investigative reports reflects information provided by a citizen during an interview conducted at Fort Myers Regional Operations Center of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. On Tuesday, May 17, 2005, 1700 hours, Special Agent SE Pete Cumming and SA John Gacconi met with blanked out. So this is a FOIA request. When they blanket stuff out, this is a FOIA request. So. Anyways, regarding the allegation of sexual misconduct involving members of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, Miss Blank, a 41-year-old female, reports the following. In 1976, at the age of 13, joined the CCSO Explorer program. This volunteer position is designed to expose children to law enforcement and provide training and experience in the field. Miss Blank states that moved quickly through the ranks, ultimately release, reaching the position of post president. Throughout her tenure with the Explorer Post, Miss Blank frequently participated in the deputy ride-along program, assisted in radio dispatch and female prisoner intake. Miss Blank also states that during the period from 13 to 18 years of age, she was forced to perform sexual acts with deputies assigned to supervise the Explorer program. Miss Blank explained in 1977, CCSO Deputy John J. Greer. Some of these people and names you're going to hear, they went on to become the head sheriffs of Charlotte County. This is unreal, man. Initially approached her, Miss Blank recalls reporting to the dispatch room after church on Sunday. Shortly after arriving at the sheriff's office, Miss Blank entered the ladies' lounge. While entering the lounge, Miss Blank states Deputy Greer followed her and committed sexual battery. Deputy Greer placed one hand over Miss Blank's mouth and digitally penetrated her vaginally with his free hand. Deputy Greer forced Miss Blank onto a couch in the lounge and began penetration with his penis. During this act, Miss Blank lost some degree of unconsciousness and only recalls waking alone in the lounge. During the summer of 1977 was one of the Explorer Company Deputy John Thomas Haas of Washington, D.C. Deputy Haas was an explorer, and the Boy Scouts of America sponsored a trip. Miss Blank had previously confided to Deputy Haas relating to incident involving Greer. Deputy Haas reportedly instructed Miss Blank to avoid Greer and stick with him. While in the hotel, Deputy Haas allegedly entered Blank room and placed his hands under the blanket and on her breasts. Miss Blank threatened to inform Deputy Haas's wife in the adjoining room of his actions, causing him to remove his hand. 1976, shortly after joining the program, met Deputy Thomas Boyson. Boyson held the rank of sergeant and was assigned to the patrol division. According to Miss Blank, took her under his wing and assigned her to the ride-along program. Next. Exclusively, the ride-along assignments began in 1976, where Miss Blank was 13 and continued through 1980. During the ride-along shifts, Sergeant Boyson would routinely drive to remote locations or seldom used county rural roads and park the patrol cruiser. Sergeant Boyson would force Blank to perform oral sex on him while he digitally fondled the child. These acts occurred continually through a 5-year period while the relationship continued. Sergeant Boyson assured Miss Blank her compliance would result in security for her and her family. According to me, Miss Blank, Sergeant Boyson promised he would look out for her well-being as long as Blank was with him. Sergeant Boyson reportedly wrote notes and sent cards to Miss Blank. The messages were romantic in nature, as well as warning the child not to divulge the relationship. The member of Sergeant Boys in the squad as well as several dispatchers were aware of the relationship. However, no action was taken. Wow, the thick blue line of corruption. On August 2nd, 1980, CCO deputy arrived at the residence. Miss Head Town and requested the sheriff's department assign a deputy to periodically check on well-being of blank as she remained actively involved in the Explorer program. Deputy Newell reported walked the residence, confirming the child was home. Deputy Newell entered the living room, removed his gun, belt, and uniform, found Miss Blank on the couch, forcibly committed sexual battery. Miss Blank was 16 years of age. During this act, Deputy Newell allegedly stated he knew that he was doing the guys, and that he was not going to miss out. Following the battery, Deputy Newell threatened to harm Miss Blank family if she reported the incident. Blank described an evening during the summer months 1970 and 1980 wherein she attended a party at Charlotte County residence. According to Miss Blank, the dates are uncertain, and she recalls Deputy Fernanda Farrow arrived at her residence. Deputy Farrow was off duty operating a patrol cruiser. Miss Blank was driven to Farrow to a party at the home of a deputy. Miss Blank doesn't recall the deputy's full name, although she does believe it was Jim and he was assigned to CCO K-9 unit. While at the party, Miss Blank observed Deputy Jeff Michael Greer arrived at the company of an inmate identified as J.D. Scarborough. Blank questioned Jim host why an inmate would be permitted to be free to attend this party. Miss Blank was advised that the inmate was a good guy and he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. At some later time in the evening, Scarborough began flirting with Miss Blank and turned to Jim asking if he could have some privacy. Miss Blank and J.D. Scarborough were directed to a bedroom where sexual intercourse. Miss Blank states she was between 14 and 15 years of age. The interview continued, summarizing years of events were passed around more than 9 deputy supervisors, and she was between the age of 13 and 17. Miss Blank states at some point she became a willing participant in sexual activities, believed that this was proper way to behave. Miss Blank recalls listening to her parents encouraging her to spend as much time with the deputies as possible, believing the influence was a positive one. Miss Blank provided a written list of CCO employees who performed sexual intercourse with. Miss Blank was between ages of 13 and 17, and while she was an explorer under the direct supervision and control, the list of additional persons involved with Miss Blank include Curtis Moore, William Ernest Clement, Donald Wayne Nyberg, Scott Allen James, Glenn Ellery Sapp, he was a sheriff at one time, and Jeff Gellar. This list represents employees of CCO during the period of the question. Most of the subjects are retired, however some continue public service. On Tuesday the 19th, this is provided essay coming with a summarized statement. And let's make this bigger. Reflecting incidents described here in the statement was received via email, and a copy is maintained as a related item with this case. Provided essay coming with the statement of identifying the sexual acts as well as the individual responsibility. Essay coming research a list of subjects in an attempt to confirm the identities and employment status with respect to public service in the field of law enforcement. According to John Greer, was employed as the deputy at CCSO 1977 on a Sunday. 1970, John Greer, while in duty, committed the crime of sexual battery as defined within Chapter 794 Florida Statutes. Essay coming contained an FDLE Criminal Justice Professionalism Program Officer Profile Sheet pertaining to this record is established and maintained by the state of Florida and reflects the state law enforcement certification training and employment status of the subject officer. According to the document, John Greer received a certification in law enforcement in 1973. At the time of certification, John Greer was employed by Venice Police Department, Venice, Florida. Greer resigned from the service of VPD in October 1994. Ms. Greer lost positions in several agencies through 1990, including CCSO. On May 28, 1979, John Greer was hired as a deputy sheriff at CCO. At the date of retirement on May 12, 1990, John Greer was employed at the Indian Shores Police Department. Indian Shores, Florida. At the time of this report, John Greer is residing outside the state of Florida, address unknown. According to Ms. Blank, John Thomas Haas was employed by CCOs as deputy sheriff during the summer of 1977. Ms. Blank described a trip to Washington, D.C. as a member of the Explorer program chaperoned by Deputy Haas. While in D.C., the reportedly touched Ms. Blank's fondling her breasts. S.A. Cumming obtained a CGP officer profile sheet pertaining to Haas. According to this document, John Haas received a state certification in law enforcement in 1969. Mr. Haas commenced employment at the CCS as a deputy sheriff on March 1, 1978. The officer profile sheet further indicates 27 years of uninterrupted service at CCSO, verifying date of retirement as March 31, 2005. John Haas currently resides in Charlotte County, Florida. He's still here, maybe. On May 17, 2005, reported pattern of acts involving Thomas Boyson. According to Ms. Boyson, shortly after joining the sport, Deputy Boyson assumed the role of supervising Ms. Boyson as the ride-along program. Ms. Blank reports Deputy Boyson routinely driving his patrol car at multiple occasions engaged in a variety of sexual acts with the 13-year-old explorer. This routine occurred frequently through a 5-year period. According to Ms. Blank, S.A. Cumming obtained a CJP officer profile sheet pertaining to Thomas Boyson. According to the document, the state of Florida issued law enforcement 1973, Ms. Boyce KENNETH, and with the CCO retiring in 2004. At this date of report, resides in Charlotte County, Florida. According to Blank, on August 2nd, Gary E. Newell, acting in the official capacity as uniformed law enforcement officer, entered Ms. residence and committed forcible sexual battery. Ms. Blank reports Deputy Newell entered the Blank residence to check on her welfare at the request of her parents. S.A. Cumming attended the officer profile sheet. Newell, according to the official document, Mr. received the certification of state Florida in 1979. Gary Newell began his enforcement career at the Fort Myers Police in February. Next. Of 1980, Ms. Newell hired as a deputy sheriff CCO, deputy room at the CCO until separation 1983. On October 1, 1984, Newell accepted employment as Lee County Sheriff. Deputy Newell resigned from MSCO on 31/85. August 8, was employed a part-time basis with CCSO regarding Florida law enforcement on 1989. A current address is not known. Blank detailed an event which reportedly occurred between 1970 and 1980, where she and Blank attended a party at the home of Charlotte County deputy. This Blank records the deputy only as Jim. Jim was further described as a K-9 officer. During the evening hours, members of Charlotte County patrol crews arrived as believed she was 16 years of age at the time of the incident. The patrol crew was operated by Fernando Freddie Farrell, a Charlotte County deputy assigned to uniform patrol. Deputy reported to the party. Numerous other deputy recalls John Geller of the company of jail inmate identified as J.D. Scarborough. During the party was served alcoholic beverages and later approached by J.D. Scarborough. The deputy identified as Jim directed Jim to escort to a bedroom where they engaged in sexual intercourse. S.A. Cumming obtained officer sheet on Farrell. According to the profile, Farrell received certification in 1974 while an employee with the CCO. Deputy remained with separation in 1981. Farrell remained as a certified law enforcement with Lee County Sheriff's Office, including career in 1991. The Punta Gorda Police Farrell was terminated from employment on the grounds of official misconduct. Fernando Farrell resided in Charlotte County at the time of this report. S.A. Cumming obtained a CG officer profile sheet in Jeffrey Geller. According to the document, Mr. Geller was certified as state 1980 and commenced employment on that date. Jake Geller resigned from CCSO in 1981 and began employment with Miami-Dade Police. 19 was terminated in 1989, charged with failure to meet mandatory retraining. Jeffrey Geller resides in Florida. In Blank initial report, CCSO employees were identified as having involvement in sexual misconduct. Although Ms. Blank did not detail specific acts in the statement. Blank alleges multiple acts of sexual battery throughout the 5-year period. S.A. Cumming obtained profile on each subject. The documents reveal the following. William E. Clement was certified in the state and was hired by the CCSO in 1972 investigation for violations of moral character. Mr. Clement resides in North Carolina. Donald Wayne Nyberg received state certification in 1982, was hired by the CCO as a deputy on 26/1982, remains active in his official position. Deputy Nyberg resides in Charlotte County, Florida. Scott Allen James was certified by the state of Florida in 1982, began employment with the CCSO deputy on that date. The James reportedly CCO auxiliary on 1980. Deputy James remained actively employed at the date of this report. Glenn Sapp received state certification April 23rd, 1970, commenced employment with the Department of Highway Safety. Mr. Sapp began as deputy CCS deputy from the service of CCO. Glenn Sapp resides in Charlotte County, Florida. Curtis Moore is believed deceased. Confirmation of death will be verified. Copies of CJ officer profile sheets are maintained in the related section of this case file. On Wednesday, October 12, 2005, S.A. Cumming and S.A. Claus Law met with at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Sarasota Field Office. Ms. Blank responded to the field office for the purpose of conducting a controlled telephone call to Thomas Boyson in attempt to gauge in conversation relating to the events as described throughout this investigation. In previous statements, Ms. Blank detailed incidents where Thomas Boyson was appointed as a patrol sergeant and the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office engaged in unlawful acts. According to Ms. Blank, 1975 through 1980, Blank was a volunteer for Explorer at CCSO, was 13 years of age and under the supervision of Sergeant Boyson. As a result of duties as an Explorer, accompanied several patrol deputies and ride observer. Shortly after beginning the program, Ms. Blank, contacted by Sergeant Boyson, assigned cruiser every Sunday for an extended period. Following an initial period wherein both became acquainted, Sergeant Boyson began touching Ms. Blank and making inappropriate suggestions. During an evening shift, parked the patrol cruiser in a rural section of Charlotte County Airport Road. After parking the cruiser, allegedly removed his penis from his pants, placed his hand in the back of her head. Sergeant Boyson forced to perform oral sex in violation of Florida statutes, sexual battery, recorded many Sundays for a period of several years. Oh my God. At one of the, under the act, Cumming reportedly identified the phone number to be a published telephone number assigned to Thomas Boyson. The telephone is active and installed within the residence located at blank. This address appears in official Sarasota records as an active residence of Thomas Boyson. Prior to initiating this phone call, S.A. Cumming equipped the telephone with a digital recording device. This recording was installed to the headset of the telephone for the purpose of intercepting and recording conversation between Blank and Thomas Boyson. At 1:15 hours, Miss began conversation with Thomas Boyson. S.A. Cummings activated the voice recorder, capturing the exchange entirety. During the conversation, Miss Blank states that she wanted to talk with the stuff that happened when she was a child. Boyson talks openly, referring to the mistake Boyson made and how he had gotten past them. The conversation is terminated at approximately 1:15 hour. Miss Blank arranged the telephone call again in the morning. Placed a second telephone Thomas Boyson, recorded the content of the conversation, explained above. During the conversation, they spoke openly about the events under this investigation. Thomas Boyson candidly and repeatedly admitted to exercising authority and control over juvenile explorer. Boyson is heard stating he drove the patrol cruiser to remote areas of Charlotte County while on official duty and supervising Miss Blank and got blowjobs. Conversation continues wherein Miss Blank asked Boyson to explain how he could do these kinds of things he passed around the apartment and used sexually. Boyson acknowledged his involvement, however denied as to other deputies involved. The conversation concluded the entire exchange was captured on compact disc and preserved as evidence. The copy disc is maintained and related to section of this file. On Tuesday, May, Special Agent Pete Cummings recorded the alleged sexual misconduct involving members of the Charlotte County office. The alleged misconduct reportedly involved a number of sworn deputies during the period 1976 through 1980. On Wednesday, S.A. Cummings met with blank concerning the investigation. As described earlier in this report, placed 2 controlled telephone calls with Thomas Boyson. This content of this conversation was captured and preserved as evidence. This transcripts have been placed in related section file of this case. Ms. Blank also submitted to an interview under oath relating to accusations of official misconduct and battery reflected throughout this case file. The transcription of statements will be maintained as related item. Special Agent S.A. Day contacted S.E. Pete Cummings at Fort Myers Regional Office requesting polygraph assistance. S.A. Cummings stated that one also known has come forward in allegations while she was on Explorer. So there's more people. With the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office from the age of 14 to 17 when she was sexually assaulted several deputies during this time period. Ms. Blank states she is now coming forward with information and is requesting the information. Polygraph was scheduled at Fort Myers office at 10:100 hours. Okay, after reviewing the statement provided by Ms. Blank, it was decided that the test would deal with her truthfulness about any sexual contact with Deputy Thomas Boyson when she was approximately 14 to 15 years of age. According to Ms. Boyson, she was a sergeant who was a sergeant at the time, had taken her under the wing and stated he had taken care of her and was aware of other deputies had sexual contact with her. According to Ms. Blank, there was many ride-alongs with Sergeant Boyson where we would find secluded areas to perform oral sex on him and also digitally fondled her. Blank stated this occurred over a 4 to 5 year period. Ms. Blank's statements were consistent to what had been provided by law enforcement at this time. The polygraph exam was administered with the following relevant questions. Ms. Blank was asked to write a statement regarding sexual contact with Sergeant Boyson. Ms. Blank wrote the following statement. From approximately age 14 to 17, he performed oral sex with Sergeant Thomas Boyson at the Charlotte County Sheriff's. These acts always took place while he was on duty uniform and in a patrol car, often in a remote location in the county. This occurred approximately between the years of 1976 and 1982. He would fondle my breasts and vagina with his hands. Signed, Blank, October 11, 2005. At this time, the polygraph exam was administered with the following relevant questions. Did you lie in your written statement? No. Did you lie in your statement you wrote for me today? No. Conclusion. Examiner's opinion that the subject was not deceptive to the above question. It should be noted that during the pre-test interview stated that she felt she could call this individual and talk to him by phone, and this information was provided to Cummings. Documents related: polygraph charts, question list, Miranda waiver, background form. S.A. Cummings contacted Assistant State Attorney Dan Feinberg, prosecutor of 20th Judicial Court, Charlotte County, regarding the investigation. ASA Feinberg was briefed on the case status and requested to be provided a copy of the investigation file. Tuesday, January 31, 2006, provided a copy of the case file. Ouch. Well, that's interesting. The following investigative report reflects information provided by a citizen during an interview conducted at Fort Myers Regional Center to the Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. On Tuesday, May 17, 17 hours, Special Agent S.A. Pete Cummings met with regarding the allegation of sexual misconduct involving members of the Charlotte County Sheriff. The alleged misconduct involved a number of sworn deputies during the period of 1976 through 1980. On Friday, August 11, 2000, S.A. Cumming met with the Assistant State Attorney Dan Feinberg regarding this investigation. ASA Feinberg received a copy of the investigative case filed in January 2006, and after research determined charges would be filed against Thomas Boyson, formerly a sergeant of Charlotte County Sheriff. ASA Feinberg provided S.A. Cumming with COPWATCH commanding the arrest of Thomas Boyson for violation of Florida statutes, sexual battery and attempted sexual battery, respectively. Bond was set at $15,000 with orders to have no contact with the victim. At approximately 15:30 and arrived at Boyson residence. S.A. Cumming explained the nature of the charges and questioned Mr. Boyson regarding the allegation. Mr. Boyson acknowledged a prior relationship stating it began during the victim's adolescence. Mr. Boyson further stated that when was 16 and 17 and engaged in a little bit for playing around. However, Mr. Boyson claims no real sex occurred until Miss Boyson was over the age of 18. S.A. Cumming placed Thomas Boyson under arrest and agents transported him to the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office detention facility where he was booked. Copies of arrest documents maintained a related item of the case. So I can get that, hopefully. And that's it, folks. This is unreal, man. And this sucker's been buried. The person that gave me this said that they've given it to many reporters over the years. They've given it to newspapers, TV, radio, and nobody would touch this thing, man. This is insane. And Charlotte County still pushes their Explorer program big time. It's literally indoctrination, man. Big time indoctrination. And you know, this happened back then. I don't know what's happening now. All I know is this is insane. This is scary. There is word that they do know who this lady is. She will possibly come down here and testify in public. She's had enough years where she could possibly do that. And she might even know more of the girls that would come forward too. There is not just her. There is other girls involved also. So, sheeple, I thought I had to bring this to you ASAP. That's why this anonymous person gave this to me, because this is bad, man. As you see, I've been running Charlotte County COPWATCH for 3 years because of corruption happened to me. Ken Hill committed perjury in court. Sheriff Bill PRUMMELL knew about it and did nothing. So the corruption is still here, man. 5 people have died in jail since Charlotte County Sheriff has been in, Bill PRUMMELL has been in power. And he has not brought any outside agency in to help investigate. He said, we investigated ourselves when we found we did nothing wrong. Well, here's a story for you here that was never in the news till now. What do you think?